Gurave Namaha. Am I audible?
Yes, ma'am, you are audible.
So we have two wonderful lectures this morning. Two great scholars, one of whom I have had the opportunity to meet in some prior conferences and who presented again today on the Bhagavad Gita. Dean Pandiji, thank you so much for introducing me to Indology Foundation, Lalit Mishraji and Aman and others. Your purpose, I really appreciate. All of us are trying to get to the roots of the Vidya that we as Bharatiyas are really proud of. So Natyam, which is of course being my chosen vocation, is considered as a Paravidya, transcendental knowledge. And I read the term Alaukika also in the Hindi introduction of my talk. Very often we find the modern so-called Indology scholars referring to Alaukika as something which we have imagined. And there's nothing called Alaukika according to some of them. There are also attempts in which the Shaivagamic roots of the dance are being taken really for a jolly good ride by making the dance more and more open in the commercial platform. Now these are concerns for us, and whatever possible measures we can take as practitioners, as researchers, as teachers, we have to do it. There is no battle at all here because Vidya is open to all. There is no barrier of caste, creed, religion, and the Natya Shastra, as any Tantra, is open to all classes of people. But at the same time, giving our respect to the Adi Guru Bharata, we have to follow certain do's and don'ts so that we don't unleash something which can even do harm instead of giving the good vibrations. So keeping that in mind, today's talk, Sir asked me to focus on Aham Idam, the philosophy, the term which is commonly been taken from the great commentator Abhinava Gupta's works, and Kashmir Shaivistic or Shaiva Siddhantic philosophies often refer to this. And the deeper significance of these philosophies, which as practitioners and as teachers we got to respect or propagate or believe in. That apart, I was also told to give a brief about the origin of Natya. Now here again, when we speak of the mythical origin, let us not follow the so-called thought that all this is only imaginary. No, it has happened exactly the same way as is given in the text. It's only when we believe that such a story has its validity, it's only then that we can even have a little bit of courage to be called its practitioner. Yes, I do write about the metaphysical connotations behind all these stories in my column called Metaphysics and Natya. A symbolism, say even in the Dashavatara, or our Puranic stories. Nevertheless, that doesn't mean that we don't believe that it actually happened and everything only is in the esoteric or the metaphysical realm. We believe equally in the story and also the fact that the story can lead us to higher principles of metaphysics, whereby it continues over generations. Give me a moment. I will try and figure out if I can stop this noise which is just coming. Yes, sorry for that. So these two aspects I was told to talk about. Now the origin of Natya, as per the Natya Shastra, Bharata Muni has been so-called Bharata Muni, the one Bharata Muni, as against the many that many people have again tried to think if it is too many, all were called Bharata, so if it is an amalgamation of many Bharatas, no, the text just follows, it follows a homogeneous way of explaining things. So it is the Bharata Muni who has given us the Bharatanatya Shastra, and Bharata is approached by Atri and other sages like Kashyapa, Agastya, Vashishta, Narada. All these sages come to Bharata and ask him, what is this Shastra that you are giving us? They ask him basically 5 questions about it. And Bharata says that when you come to ask me this, first and foremost, ensure that you are clean externally, your gross body, your subtle body, in every way. Shaucha, you have followed it, and then you come and listen to this. This story that I am telling you about the origin of this Shastra, I am only retelling what Brahma, the creator, has given. So he goes back in time and says that Vaivasvata Manvantare, he speaks of Swayambhu Manvantare, gets over with the Krita Yuga, the golden age. Then the Treta Yuga, when it is about to start, in the Vaivasvata Manvantara, there is deterioration of dharma. At that time, the Devas come to Brahma and say, can you give us a solution? Something which offers a lesson, something which is very nice to also enjoy for our senses, so that you are able to get both going. One doesn't feel deprived of enjoyment. At the same time, the larger goal of getting into dharma, and through the path of dharma, something that can get us to the highest moksha. So Brahma takes the 4 ingredients like Pathya, then he takes Abhinaya, he takes music, and he takes Rasa. Today we had Atharva Veda in the beginning, a talk. Rasa is from Atharva Veda. And with all this, he gives the Panchama Veda, which has all these aspects and is now open to everyone without any barrier for practicing. But the only requisite is that one should have firmness of mind, one should have control over the senses, which is why, although Brahma wanted the Devas to learn it and practice it, the Devas themselves say, sorry, we are not fit for this. Instead, we will see that one master Rishi is able to get this Vidya, or the Rishis who are capable with their senses in control will be able to propagate this Vidya. And that is how Bharata becomes the student. And then the next chapter talks about how the puja, the rituals have to be done. Now that also today we find there is such a superficial way of doing the rituals, like Yesterday we had Vinayaka Chaturthi. The way we represent Ganesha's performance, starting we have to do a Ganesha just to touch upon it and then go on and on and on. Now, this kind of approach, fast-packed with the so-called worldly goals, is not going to take us at all close to the goals for which this great Vidya was given. So he says that a puja which is not done as per the vidhi given here will never be a success. So what is happening is, instead of being Brahma Rakshaka, we might end up creating Brahma Rakshasas. Which is why we have to be very careful in knowing the do's and the don'ts and how sincere we are, the types of playhouses we have to do. Today, the dance, the Natya, has the dance aspect was one part of it. Gita, Vadya, Nritya forms of Sangeeta. The Natya has evolved and the Nritya and Abhinaya has evolved into the so-called classical dance format. And we find that it is being practiced in the modern proscenium. We have to thank our stars that despite the attempts of so many people to remove it completely, we still have it functioning. Despite all our so-called Gurukulams having been hurled out of the windows, we still have a kind of Guru Parampara through the practice of Sangeeta or Shastriya Nritya. So those are the blessings. And what the Guru Parampara says is Vidya Dadhati Vinayam. Even today, when you are in front of the Gurus, you have to completely surrender yourself, only then you get that Vidya. But what is the approach today when it is being given like an Apara Vidya, like a conceptual knowledge, like something which is written about and heard or recorded or cut paste, and then you become a choreographer in the modern so-called Google Guru life. We think we know a lot more, whereas we don't even have that speck of knowledge compared to the great practitioners, the rishis. And then from the rishis, how Bharata's sons were brought to earth. So it says very clearly from Swargaloka, Avatarana of Natya, the 36th chapter says. Now, why was that? The rishis cursed Bharata's sons because, again, the moment you get this Vidya, the one that gives you the Shakti to cleanse yourself from within, the one that equips you to do all this Abhinaya and bring the world drama in front of people's eyes, it empowers you. And there is a very thin line for which you start feeling, yes, I have acquired this. It becomes a siddhi. And then you start misusing it. So this was also there at that time. Very commonly, the egoistic powers rose up, and Bharata's sons started doing a parody of the rishis, and they were cursed. And after they curse in such a way that you will forget this Vidya. And to get relieved of the curse, they were sent to earth. And there is a story of the king Nahusha and all that. Now the point is, we have to revere the fact that this has been handed over from the divine. It says very clearly, Pranamya Shirasa Devo Pitamaha Maheshwaro Natyashastram Pravakshyami Brahmanatyadudahru. The Sankalpa of Brahman, even beyond the Trinity, the Shiva Shakti consciousness, from that subtlest level of consciousness, the vibrating force of Shiva Shakti, which keeps the whole cosmic cycle intact. From there, the descent has come to earth. The descent has come to earth. And even now, every attempt is being made by a practitioner, a sincere practitioner, through this dance form or even music form. All the arts have come out of Natya Shastra, painting, sculpture, sir would agree, even architecture, Ayurveda. Natya Shastra is an unparalleled text, and Bharata has not been attributed with any other text except Natya Shastra. And let us not make a blunder of pinning it in recent history at all. So such an age-old traditional knowledge given to us, we as practitioners have to find the solace, the blessing that at least a small bit of it has been handed over. An attempt is being made. When you say Aham Idam, means what? This I am. When you say this I am, it doesn't mean this limited body, this constraint of being inside the flesh and body image in a particular land in Bengaluru or in India. No. It speaks of the limitless, spaceless self inside you. So what attempt is done in this pure great art form is to eliminate, reduce your attachment to your gross limitations and take you deeper and deeper, peeling off layer after layer, Annamaya Kosha, Manomaya Kosha, Jnanamaya Kosha, Vijnanamaya Kosha, and come to the Anandamaya Kosha. And that is what the chapter 6 talks about. The bhavas, the rasas. And the alaukika experience is not only in the performer. The alaukika experience has emerged from the poet itself. The pratibha has come from the seed which is laid by the poet. The word has been composed into a song, performed into a dance, and the spectator gets the same flow of empathy with the art. So this journey is unique, that every ingredient who makes this spectacle alive, nama, rupa, in front of your eyes, has contributed to every aspect of it, keeping the purity of this alaukika experience. So it's a very juvenile question if you ask if rasa is only in the spectator. Yes, rasa is intended for the spectator, and the signs of the bhavas, thai bhavas, anubhavas, vibhavas, sanchari bhavas, all this is being used by the actor. The actor and dancer are one and the same, nata in Sanskrit drama, and the rasa is evoked among the spectators. But it has already been there from the seed. It becomes a plant, becomes a tree, the fruit, the flower. And this experience, Abhinava Gupta says, passes through 5 stages. The physical level. Yes, you see a character in front of you. You're able to identify on the physical level at the outset. Then the emotional level. The emotional level, obviously, because when a person is showing love, for example, do you have to be told what is love? No. The moment you see the acting of love, it is obvious to you that this is the sentiment. So what Kalidasa also says that from your past births, you have a recollection of something already latent in you. Now that is Ai Baba. The predominant mood existing in all of creation. So the emotions Kindly do not speak in between. There are people who have unmuted. I request organizers to mute them. Thank you. So this emotional level, there is the connectivity to such an extent that even a child will be able to tell you that Ravana, he may not have read Ramayana, but he's saying that Ravana is showing something very, very bad and evil. Yes, this man has to be punished. So you already know, and you already know what is good, what is bad. Even moral values, they say, is inside you in your sight. So the emotional connect also happens simultaneously. Then the imaginative level, the story comes about. You're imagining the situation. For the artist in us, the first person goes, delivers the second person, becomes the third person. Someone, I have never seen Krishna with these eyes. Have I seen? The moment I have done him, I have already got the consciousness of the deity in me. And through my acting, the people there who have also not seen Krishna, they see, yes, Krishna Paramatma is right. Aha. And they see the mother. So this imaginative world opens up. So you're getting deeper, deeper into the meditative, contemplative modes. And then he says there is a catharsis. The catharsis people have commonly used everywhere in all literature. But the way we have, through Abhinav Gupta, gone deeper into the tantrika, the alchemy, the esoteric part of it, nobody has been able to unravel with such mystery. The catharsis means what? You have shed all the limitations, all your conditions have gone, purged out. For the dancer, it is so beautiful that you are literally the shunya because you have unshed all these characters. And for a spectator also, the unconditioned mind opens up the hridaya, sahrudaya. There is no egoistic tendency. There is no worry about whether I have kept this here, kept that here. No. So there is this collective consciousness which is now opening up. And then the last stage is the transcendental experience. Allow totally out of this. And that takes you to that Brahmam Aswada Sahodara. Sahodara. Brother of Brahman consciousness. Because there is this beautiful, unique quality of aesthetic. You can liken it to a religious experience in deep meditation when I felt the Brahman descending into me and then I have become one with Brahman. But the difference here is, it is not the Viveka Marga or the typical, of course everything is Vedanta in the end, but the typical Maya kind of philosophy which says that this is mithya. No. Here, the beauty is that it is the Yogaja Ananda Tantra Marga. The world is here in front. The empirical and the transcendental together. Now that is Shiva and Shakti dancing, vibrating all the time. So for the spectator also, this kind of an experience, see, Bharata is such a great Rishi who has given us the easiest meditation, easiest. You don't have to do deep breathing Hatha Yoga practices. You don't have to do 1,000 rituals. No, he says this is enough for you. It gives you dharma, artha, kama, as well as moksha. But the practitioner and the spectator have to move in that semblance, in tandem. Now that is what it was created for. And then we had, I go back now to those times when the great practitioners in our temples, the so-called Deva Dasis, Deva Adigars they were, the rasa was to be invoked in the deity. They were not dancing for the so-called Talia from. No, it was only for the people who came to worship the deity there. The Kamika Agama and other Shaiva Agamas talk of how the dancer used to participate in the Kumbhaharati. So they were using it as a ritual. The evolution of the dance to that stage traces back Bharata's time, and then thousands and thousands of years. And then we had this beautiful branching out of several dance forms, like certain ones took some parts of the aspects and became like a Odissi, or you can say Kuchipudi, or a Manipuri. Bharatanatyam, which is my forte, is called as the main structured dance. Is such a is something that has kept up to a large extent this yogic philosophy, because the way it evolved is with this temple motif. We had some great composers like the Tanjavur Quartet. They gave a margam in which the dancer is able to go from one layer to the other layer, and then deeper layer to the sanctum sanctorum, becoming one with the deity there, and then going across to the other deities and making a circumambulation pradakshana with her dance. The entire margam conventional motif was made with that in mind. Today, we have the margam itself being done in a totally lopsided manner. We don't have the first item, we may not have the last item, we may have something in between. So this tendency is where we need to safeguard ourselves and see that we are sincere in our practice. This has been given to us to create as Prajapatis, to create the worldly drama, the drama that happens on a worldly basis, day-to-day drama, bring it in front of people's eyes on stage and make them also yogis like you to be able to face the world as detached actors playing their roles with detached attachment. Again, you go back to Bhagavad Gita. It is very easy because when you are taking all these format of the dance and the way the rishis and then the great saint poets have all devised and given us the repertoire, you are able to break these barriers within yourself and people in front of you. Because the three aspects are very intact in the dance. The agamic aspect, the spanda aspect, and the pratyabhijna aspect. The agama, the ritual, the way you worship the deities, the yantra in you, with the geometry, sacred geometry, the form that gives you the communion with the light energy, the various speeds that we perform, that a performer is continuously in that momentum, and then she takes a freeze as that cosmic deity, Nataraja. It is not a freeze which is totally dead. No. That freeze has got the speed, the velocity which you cannot even think of. So some rishi who got in the deepest meditation, that dance of Nataraja, all the time keeping the dancing atoms together, conceive this image. When we do that, you get completely immersed in, enraptured into that. But that should be the way you look at it. Why does he keep his left hand? Here again the Shakti, the moving the feminine, the changing, and he as the Bindu, the unchanged Prakasha, and the Vimarsha. Together, keeping this drama, and one foot up says that this is the changing world. The other foot firmly planted upon the demon who signifies ignorance, your ego. When you stamp upon that and fall at the feet, the left foot is for that. Fall at her feet, Shakti's feet. Shakti Marga. She takes you, opens the doorways and makes you one with Shiva. And with that, the five, you get the Panchakritya, you're able to visualize the Srishti is taken care of. Sthiti, Samhara, Tirodhana, you open the veil of ignorance. Only then you will be able to get Anugraha or grace of the Lord. So this is the way Bharata's wife did. Even now with a fragment of it only, but still it opens up that pathway for you to see the divine. And also for the people who watch you. How the Margam was devised is we have one in which the opening number, you show the bud opening up into a flower. And we speak of flowers, all these deeper secrets, all the great temple dancers were familiar with. They never went directly onto the stage as a pradarshana or an entertainment or a vinoda. No. They practiced a lot of rituals, including some mudras by which they were able to energize and vibrate the subtle chakras. So the first couple of dances were designed for that, in which you are able to tap, connect yourself with the Mooladhara, keep that very, very firm, and then the Swadhisthana, and then the Manipuraka. The Anahata, as the dance progresses, you start using emotions. You start using your facial expressions, your hand, your gestures. You become one with nature and one with the character. You open up those granthis. You are able to get out of those knots. The three levels. From the lower to the highest. So from the gross you are progressing right up to the Vakbhava. You are able to come up from Anahata to the Vishuddha and then the Atmya and then the Sahasrara. And what happens in the center part of the dance number is this Aham Idam, very, very well established to the dance format, is you are reaching the Sanctum Sanctorum. The Jivatma tells the Paramatma, I know you and I are one and the same. You have given me this birth. I have come again to realize that I am one with you. You, the Lord, will you not show your compassion on me, your eternal lover? And what great compositions we have. Today people are attempting, but at the same time, those compositions were from people who had completely sublimated their egos. It was not this kind of modern composition. So it is time we look back at those and try to revive them the way they were performing in the temples. And then the beautiful way in which after you have evoked that supreme Shringara. Now here again we had attack on Bharata. Shringara was looked at something which is not correct, or because people have not been able to come out of the base feelings. Art in India has never been looked upon as something which is to that the lower level. Everything is beauty. Everything is divine, and with the higher spiritual base that you and the divine are one and the same. So that was the Shringara. It was not something which was obscene. No. So despite all those attacks, we are still continuing the margam. Many people are attempting. I am very fortunate to be a student of a guru who has come from the typical temple dance tradition family. There are hardly a few of them. Many of them lost their vocation. Many of the Devadasis today, we find that they don't even exist. From Aatmalya, we have tried our best to get in touch with a few of them and call them over. But it's quite a difficult exercise because that is seems to be a past history now. What we have now, we have to preserve. We have such platforms where more and more researchers are coming together. We have the younger generation interested in going back to manuscripts. So there we have a silver lining that we can connect back to our roots and present ourselves as we ought to and see that this parampara continues for ages. I have a few things that I've written down here. If there is time, I will read that. May I know from the organizers?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. You can continue.
Okay. Thank you. So I thought I should not leave out certain things. Now, Sarvashastra Sampannam Sarvashilpa Pravartakam Natyakhyam Panchamam Vedam Setihasam Karomyaham. Nana Bhavopasampannam Nanavastantaratmakam Lokavrittanukaranam Natyametanmaya Kritam. That is what Bharata says in the first chapter. And Dharmartha Kama Moksha also he has said that you will be able to achieve it through this practice. Now, what I spoke to you in a nutshell, I'm giving you a summary, is Natya explains the link between the physical, emotional, and vital space of the triad of stage, spectator, and actor with the universe as a micro model. The Natya practice is a Shuddha Vidya Tattva, where that I, the larger I, and this small I side of experience are equally balanced because Shiva and Shakti are fused, embodied into the one Nada, which is the primal sound, which activates the Ichha Shakti will to create, the Bindu, the potential universe, energized as the Jnana Shakti or knowledge to create, and the Kamakala, desire to create, manifested as Kriya Shakti or action. In Savachintamani it is said, O Shiva, you have produced a three-world drama which has in its interior Maya as the source of all the existence. You have presented the introductory portion of the drama. Where is the creative artist other than yourself who can bring about its conclusion? So this also emphasizes the Advaitic oneness with Shiva Shakti. Of course, you use the Dvaita Marga, you use the Vishishta Dvaita Marga, obviously, because when you do the, whether it is the puja, the karma, or the stava or the stutis, everything is looking at the Lord as the supreme and you in this limited self. And then you go on, even in that Varnam format, it is that is the central part of our dance. We have that, and we leave it to the spectators' imagination because rasa, it should not be so blatantly expressed. They say that, and today people attempt it, but it is always left to the imagination of the spectator whether the Jivatma is able to get that Advaitic oneness with the Paramatma. And then we have from there on, we come down from that level where you reach the Bindu. Suppose it's a Sri Chakra model also. You come out from one Muladhara and each of these Shaktis, and then you come close to the Sahasrara Bindu in the centrifugal item where the Jiva Paramatma both are one. And then you descend again. So there is an ascent from gross to subtle, and then you descend again with some very, very common kirtanams, and then we have love songs in which you again look like someone who's very ordinary next door. Samanya Abhinaya is brought down. So from there, then you have a Tillana, which gives you a complete holistic view of this temple journey that you have made outside and inside yourself, the same temple journey. The laudatory verse uttered by the supreme goddess in Nishwasa Tantra, titled Goddess and Goddess Dancer, says, in one aspect you are the inner self, a dancer. In another aspect, you are preserver of your essential nature as the highest self. Truly, in one aspect you play different roles in the world in repeated births as immanent in the world. In another aspect, you abide always in your essential nature as a divine and are not identified with the psychological individual, both in the world drama and above it. Bija, we have in the Natya Shastra also Bija, Bindu, Niyatapi, all these technical ways in which you achieve your dramatic, your goal is given. Bija, in the case of drama, is the source of the plot, and in the case of the world drama, Bija is nothing but Maya. But again, as I go back, Maya is not something which is unwanted. Maya is here wanted as well. Maya goes with the Maya Sahitya Brahman it is. To be noted, the Nartaka, as I said before, is both dancer and actor. Ishvara Pratyabhijna, I spoke of Agama. I was going to tell you about Spanda and Spota. Agama, as I said, comes very strongly in the dance repertoire. And the Spanda is each time Agama in the yantric aspect, Spanda in the mantric aspect, the sound vibration, the ragam and the thalam. It takes you close to the Spanda within you, the Spanda which is already there in the spectator. So that connects especially in the way we do the pure dance form. And the third is the Pratyabhijna. What is Pratyabhijna philosophy? It says that when you reduce your identification with the changing world of objects to the path of Shakti, you reduce connecting or identifying with this is me, Padmaja, or this is me, so and so, my name, my form, my asset, my home there, my car next door, nothing. You reduce your identity from the objects and then you get closer to the self-recognition of the Supreme Subject Shiva in you. So that journey, by reduction in objective identity and getting to that one Shiva consciousness, even in the rasas that we do, we have Shringaram, Hasyam, Bebatsam, Karunyam, Raudram, Adbhutam, all these Bhayanakam, all these drama. Today there is so much Bhayanakam all over. There is Bebatsam, number 19, COVID-19. You all are disgusted with this. So much world drama happening. But who is the Sakshi? The Shanta. And Abhinavagupta gave much more. Bharata only spoke of 8 rasas. Because already he has assumed, says Abhinavagupta, the presence of the Atman as the Shantam. Otherwise, he would not have placed Nirveda, the stai of Vibhatsa. You get disgusted, right in the middle of the Sancharis, of starting of the Sanchari Baba. When you keep something in the middle, it has to be auspicious. So Abhinava argues that Bharata already assumed the existence of Shantam. But he did not feel it was necessary to give us because there is no so-called Sanchari, or you cannot, although you say Shama or tranquility is the stai, you cannot show Shantam. Aham Brahmasmi or I am Atma Brahma. I cannot express and make people except through the very presence like you have of great rishis or great saints today. So in the world drama in which you are involved, You then look out of it with the third eye and you see yourself watching your performance. So the same way when the spectator views, he is not limited by his name or his gotra or whatever. He is watching it as someone who is in Tanmayi Bhava, completely one with the character. And that is why many a time you cry during a movie, but you feel joyful you have cried. The rasa becomes just one. There is only chitta eka rasa rupi. Because you're happy you have shed tears. You don't go back home crying. You say, aha, what a lovely performance or a movie. I cried so much. I feel so happy I have cried. The same way, if I'm eating 10 sweets, each of it in a different form, the form is gone and the nirguna, the formless sweetness that I am, I realize. Even water can have that kind of a taste. So that taste is already in you. So that drama just opens up. It purges you out and gives you the emancipation, the way in which you can recognize that in you. So the philosophy of Pratyabhijna, I come back to that, is when the whole world is asleep, only the highest Lord, the producer of the world drama is awake, it says in Ishvara Pratyabhijna. The experience of Sadashiva Nirguna is I am this Nirguna. And that of Ishvara Saguna is this I am, this am I. Pratyabhijna Vimarsani explains rasa as self-recognition of Shiva due to the reduction of objective identity through the action of Shakti, because Shakti, energy, it is all about energy. The energy which is taken on an ascent from the gross to the subtle, and the same energy it is brought down, like it is said in the Taittiriya Upanishad, how the energy comes, evolves from the Akasha, then to Vayu, and then to Agni and Jala, and then Prithvi. The same way you come down, and then the dance ends with the same tai much on the floor. In between, you are right there. Even the alapana that you do, sarigama padani sarigama, you have shed out, gone into the highest consciousness level. And then from that, so the arohana is disillusion mind. And from that creation, that consciousness Prajapati, then you descend avataranam, avatara, avarohanam, the creation comes. Like the same way in which Natya was descended on earth. Pratyabhijna Vimarsini explains rasa, as I said, the bindu, the subject, touches upon the vibration of Shiva Shakti. In all these, all forms of objective this are absorbed into the universal I, in the realization of Aham Idam. There is no difference between I and you, or this and that. Abhinava explains the experience of rasa in this way. So, yes, I think most of it I have. The last line here. Shiva and Shakti Tattva can never be separate. A state of Ananda, full and perfect beatitude results from Natya. The absence of conditioned mind with differences, the absence of that allows consciousness to expand without obstacles. The self of the self-realized yogin, the nartaka, and the rasika or prekshaka experiences itself as a sheer actor in the drama of life in the world, playing various roles in his outer being, but remaining absolutely detached from the entire play, essential within. So this is what Aham Idam is all about. I thank you all so much for giving me this wonderful opportunity to try and even perform through this virtual space. As performers, last few months has been very, very difficult not to go up on stage and put up your program and get that connectivity. It is highly infectious, but I'm sure things will change soon. And with Natya like this, virtually we're doing classes, we're doing programs, all over people are connecting. It is one of the ways to relieve us of this world global dukkha that everyone is facing, the one that has leveled everyone to one similar state. To come out of it, if we keep practicing this, we can achieve what the kings used to achieve through practice of this. Thank you so much, Nam Shivaya.